welcome back. Today we able to get idea to paint a foggy landscape in the morning painting, and in this previous series already we have seen the foggy landscape in the evening, and there I used the mark brushes to create a foggy effect in that painting. But today here I am going to use the small red foam roller brush to create foggy effect in this painting, and I'm going to use canvas paper to for this. And one point here I'm sharing, periodically we were painting from a distance to check for the foggy effect in the painting. Is there any harsh edges and imbalances? Okay, let me see. Here I am using canvas paper, cerulean blue, sap green, black, and first take flat brush size 22, picking some blue, some sap green and little black, mixing well together for the color mixing, and first establish the distance mountain to the background. This distance mountain dark in value, create the outline of the mountain first, then fill the color in it. Just highlight the outline of peak of the mountain. Once complete this, then using long bristle linear brush number 2, picking black acrylic, just put it in the most distance tree and making 2 trunk of the tree, just drag it and just we are going to create the pine tree from top to down like this. Drag it. In this painting I am not building the sky, just I leave the base with white, and just next going to create the leaves for this pine tree, and using strip bristles fan press with a long handle, hold the fan press vertically and gently. Let's start right here at the top, very light tapes here, and you will enter with the big blobs of paint. Don't press the brush too hard, just tape more right, taping more left. Keep the brush strike just a little, going in organic way and just loosely. Just I am going to create and want very tip of the bristles to touch the canvas and creating that is little broken. Let the limbs shift a bit from side to side and just as we move downward. Then the shapes get wider. These pine trees act as strong supporting elements of the distance and horizontal line. This mountain and the pine trees are going to hide with the foggy effect. So here these are the main subject for us. Branches, I am going to start covering the top left edge here, creating branches. I am keeping this kind of move long forward, and the tiny branches, the very direction continue moving up. Just giving less amount of pressure to create the tiny branches with little movement. Then using same fan brush to create the leaves too, I am going to start by applying them towards the ends of the branches. Our beautiful distance mountain sitting behind of these trees too. This is the distance mountain. Keep your brush stroke soft and simple with the lesser details. There is no harsh details. Here I am picking some titanium white, mixing with water. If you want to can use a glazer medium instead of water. Now preparing our base layer, just our desired effect medium look like transparency. The goal is to make it thin and transparent, not opaque. Once completely dry this base layer, next going to create an initial fog layer here. Here I am going to use small foam rag roller brush to achieve an initial fog effect. This gives very thin and even layers and works well for smooth. Now load the roller in a paint mixture, just ensuring that it's evenly coated but not dripping wet. Just start to applying the first layer from the top to downwards. Slowly, gently roll the paint over here on the surface with a light pressure. This is an even soft focus. The first layer is very subtle, so I am testing this mixture, and here we are getting very lightly effect, so I am going to make repeatedly. So you just test your mixture on a practice area first to ensure that desired level of transparency and effect. Now going to create the base of the land using the same flat brush, adding some sap green and little blue along with the previous color, mixing well together, then creating the land effect, little greenish from side to side, short horizontal brush stroke. Here I am not keeping more highlighting and more details, just leave this next to create a big tree from the center of the land. Varying the pressure and picking amount of paint on the roller, just show can help blend the layers naturally and gradually. I am going to create the elements in the middle ground, create the base of the trunk, this one darker here, start top here and drag slowly downwards. This is great foggy piece, so just start one branches right side here first and then left side another one, bring from top to little halfway and just bottom of the end it. Remaining two of the branches adding top. Then creating the tiny branches, vary the directions along with all the branches too. Here one thing, I am using the same liner brush to create thicker and thinner trunk of the trees and the tiny branches in the very directions too. And so just to hold the brush with very pressure to apply during creating these branches. Now adding extra value into our trees, and so I'm going to create foliage on the branches, and this is great highlighting of foggy look piece and using the same fan brush, picking black and sap green, mixing well together with the previous color, grabbing the paint and load the paint with our bristles and creating the first layer of darkest foliage. Just a soft touch within the lesion pressure all around top of all the branches. Once completing our middle ground and the elements, just leave it for a couple of minutes to dry. Once completing then creating second layer of foggy effect. I want little brighter effect, so I am adding little more white paint with water and making the transparency mixture. Just repeat the process, applying the more thin layer to the same area for the foggy effect to be little denser and brighter. Now I am achieving the first layer of desired foggy look. Make sure that avoid any hard lines appear. Adding little cerulean blue mixed with some titanium white and making the transparent. Just load the roller with this mixture. Now start to apply the second layer of foggy effect from the top to the downwards. Slowly, gently, this is an even. Now our goal is almost going to come, making off our foggy effect along with the roller. Now we are going to add the foreground details after dry will completely and around the foggy effect to I am adding the grass effect and pull the edge forward. Using same flat brush, adding some dark tones, the very effect of green by using the darker shade of the green mixture, tapping lots of tapping continuously and the darker areas of the very bottom of the canvas, vary the pressure and the directions for shadows areas. Next, adding the lightest value by adding our green base. Always we focus the foreground and need to more prominent depth of colors and the sharpest edges compared to the distant softer elements. Just highlighting more brightest foliage in these areas. These foliage should be the most detailed and sharpest. The tops of the foliage might be clearer. Few points I am going to share here when creating a foggy misty effect with acrylic paint. Always avoid to applying paint too thickly. If you apply thick layers, there is a lack of luminous when see-through quality of fog. So make sure that try to build up the layers effect through multiple thin scumbling layers. When you establish fog layers and the elements of background, letting each dry completely before adding the next one. Second one, don't let the fog to hide the image of the elements. That always should be the transparent. Fog break the illusion and naturally blur the silhouettes. So try to sharp the distant edges, sharp the elements, edges of the elements softly blend out. The third one, avoid to use more water along with paint. During creating a fog colors or layer, make it more like watercolor. If use more water that lead to a weak finish, make sure that smoother, more stable, transparent layer. The fourth one, avoid to adding wet paint over the layer, so the drying processing is very important. The fifth one, try to use softer brushes, better for smooth blending and subtle transition, a very good atmospheric effect. The sixth one, fog is very light, but without some contrast and deeper values, the painting can look unintentional. If the lack of contrast and sharp details in the background. The seventh one, plain composition, establish a depth and mixing of colors. First paint the background and elements that detail hills and trees, whatever it may be. Next, apply the misty layers that instantly push the elements further back into the fog. Next, establish the middle ground and foreground elements, increased and establish the detail. Gradually paint the elements closer to the viewer. Increase the clarity of elements and the color saturations. Make sure that is the contrast. Next, make the fog layers and elements where meet the fog layer. Adding final details and highlighting, consider the light source, using the soft highlighting where the light source might penetrate the mist, and the cooler tones for shadows, depth of our painting.